There were some recent legal changes in 2025. Executive Order 14168, issued on January 20th of 2025, that this order mandates federal agencies to recognize only two genders, male and female, based on biological sex at conception. It also eliminates funding for programs promoting gender diversity and restricts transgender individuals from accessing facilities aligning with the type of care and gender identity that they identify as. In addition to that, Executive Order 14187, signed on January 28th of 2025, seeks to prohibit gender-affirming medical care for minors under 19 who are looking to receive surgeries or hormone replacement therapies, any types of puberty blockers. Plenty of things are mixed up in this. And I want to start this conversation off by saying that this will be triggering for some. And honestly, if it isn't triggering for you, I want you to take a moment to reflect within, because what we're speaking about is basic human existence and right. Now, we are here on the Business of Pleasure podcast, and a lot of times we have conversations and the tempo's always high, and I ain't gonna lie, because I know I'm prone to say some crazy stuff. This conversation is so significant because as Bedroom Kandi, we never needed a DEI. We ain't never need that, okay? We are a company founded by an African-American powerhouse woman known as Kandi Burris. And we have always felt like we needed to be a space for all. We have always included anyone as a person who can take advantage of the opportunity within our business, within our community, come to our parties. We try to keep the inclusivity in our products. And let me spin a block on that. We keep the inclusivity in our products. We don't try, we do. And this is because we believe that not a single person in this world doesn't have a right to pleasure or care, self-care, self-love, education, information, community spaces that feel safe. And right now we're in a state of existence where so many people are on edge. So I want to have a conversation about those things. And of course we will dip into the pleasure, but to be honest right now, I'm hurting. And I know I'm not the only one. So in order to have this conversation, I wanted to invite someone who's super, super, super special to me. I came across this amazing individual on TikTok, all up in my FYP. Okay, and it was just aligning with me a little bit too much. But then I met this particular individual and learned, oh, that's Pisces family right there. So we really got this spirit thing going. And I fell in love with the authenticity. But one of the things I loved most was he was using his platform to not just show who he is, but to take time to explain things to other people, because we can't act like everyone knows. And I love the fact that there was time and effort put into that in the content in a fun way, right? So I want to turn to my right, and I want to introduce you all to Bedroom Kandi's first male trans influencer, Waya. Hey, Waya.
Hey, it's been a minute.
It's been a little while. Last time I was with Waya, we was playing with remote vibrators and squishy things and
squishy things.
Mic this drops, thing, yeah,
microphone.
This thing.
Put to my mouth, knowing dang well who I am.
It was because it looked like a microphone.
It does.
It looked like a microphone. But yeah, we had so much fun just kicking and vibing, and then you came back out to our social affair, which was awesome, and came up on stage. We got to have a little bit of jokes and laughs with Kandi and all this. Dope times, good times. Waya, before we even go into anything, I want to ask if you could tell them a little bit about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
All right, cool. So my name is Waya. I actually go by Waya Kellie as my stage name now. Currently, I am a trans male actor, model, public figure, and community leader. I have a lot of titles, y'all, so let's just start with that. As she said, I got my big, platform, which was TikTok. And then I just went from there. I'm just all about inclusion. I'm a community leader. So I'm all about making sure that I show myself authentically while sharing my story so that I can inspire my community.
I love that. And my favorite word there was authentically. because I feel like some of the things that are happening right now are asking people to not be who they are.
Yeah.
And that's the part that is troubling for me. That's hurting me, because I find that there are, well, one, far more things in today's world that we could tackle, prioritize. But I do feel that the trans community is under direct attack, along with the entire, right? Like, we're not going to sit here and just say it's only the trans community. The entire LGBT community, plus, is undergoing that. But specifically, there are some direct attacks that go straight for the trans community. And it's not like it's just happening now, right? Historically, there's been issues where we're receiving gender affirming care.
Yes.
There has been, especially for younger folk, and I know this is a controversial one for many people, because I see some people saying, well, they're kids.
Right.
And I understand that. But I think those are the defining years in life where people are starting to understand who they are. And everybody's entitled to their thoughts and opinions. We don't judge. We listen, and we don't judge. Right? We quite literally define that over here. Okay. So I think I understand that everybody has a thought. Everybody has an opinion, but everybody having a decision is the part that's starting to become a little bit more troubling. I want you guys to understand that this is not just about, people think about surgeries, and that's the first place that their minds go when they don't realize that there is an emotional element, a mental element, there is a physical element, obviously. And then when it comes to, later on in life, when they're at a mature age to be getting into certain activities, you want to enjoy pleasure too.
Right.
So, like I said, we're both Pisces, and one of the traits that I know we share is, as spiritualists.
As you know, I'm very deep on heavy on that part. Okay.
As spiritualists, that means that we navigate this world with a little bit of a heightened sensitivity to me. So it's not even just like processing our own feelings. It's really profoundly like feeling other people's energy.
And boy, is it heavy right now.
It is. And so creating safe spaces is that much more important right now. I want to ask you, just, how do you feel, right? How are you feeling?
You want to be honest, you're literally the first person to genuinely ask me that question since everything's been going on. And I don't say that in a shady way. I say that in a way of, people look at me and they're like, oh, he's this big pillar of authenticity and inspiration and just motivation, and he doesn't actually have issues or problems. But like you said, being trans is not about it's actually the last part that we worry about is our physical part. We worry about our mental more than anything. Being trans, it comes with what we call gender dysphoria. Sometimes not everybody that's trans has gender dysphoria, but a vast majority of us do struggle with that. And having these type of executive orders put out where they're telling me I don't exist, basically. I'm not a person. I'm not a being at all. I'm not here. If
it doesn't look black, white,
it's just
red, blue,
it's not there,
very,
right?
It doesn't exist.
And so being asked that floods me with a lot of different emotions, because it's like, if I'm being honest, I have rage, I have upset, I have sadness, but I also have hope. I have positivity. I'm motivated to do even more, to show that I'm here, to be representation. That's what it has always been about for me. Representing a demographic, not only as a trans person, but as a Black trans person, as a queer person, and also recently, being known as a two-spirit individual, which is a whole cultural identity. And they don't even speak upon that at all. So if you're not acknowledging us for this, I can even imagine how much more extinct you're taking out my Native American heritage away from me. It's like it's almost like ripping my autonomy away from my body. Like I don't have no say.
From the land in which it started, right?
Right. But we're in the land of the free, right? So, but that's how I personally feel. It's just it's a wave of emotions. But I have put in my mind that no matter what you try to put on a piece of paper, you're not going to take away my existence. You're not going to take away that I'm here. I'm here. I'm speaking to y'all right now. I'm not a ghost. I'm not a film of your imagination or anything like that. I am living proof of what a trans person can be and has been in the past.
When you spoke about that just now, and I guess the reason I'll say this, I have trans individuals in my family, but outside of that, I'm a sexologist. I'm in this community in every way, shape, or form. I am on the rainbow, right?
Yeah.
But also, I have a child with a special need, right, who has autism, and it kind of makes me feel. I've always felt like navigating the invisibility that I sometimes feel my child might feel in certain settings, or the underestimating, or all of these judgments and notions that people will place on a person that just because they don't understand it, because you don't understand it. And it's the common denominator that I felt came up with this situation is people are quick to reject that in which they don't understand before they take time and patience to understand. And even if it ain't for you, you know what I'm saying? Right. It don't gotta be. It don't have to be understood. Yes, it just needs to be understood. Whole space. I can agree to disagree. I can all those type of things. But what I think people have to understand that it is a direct threat on your safety, right? Because once someone pretends that someone doesn't exist, then they start to try to work towards their extinction. Right. And some people take that a little too literally, right? There are so many stats before this. When we go back to the Stonewall riots and all those types of things that have shown that people have chosen to act out in violence. And we were on a virtual panel discussion one time. And one of the members in that conversation talked about how certain places they can't say their natural identity because they feel like they could be, you go to a restaurant, you don't know if the person serving you doesn't like, you know what I mean? If you're not visibly obvious, right? If they can't tell that you may not have been born with that identity or whatever the case is, but finding out might change how they treat you. Exactly. So I want to ask you, for people who are out there who are not understanding, but they want to, right? Or they have family members that they want to support. What are some of the most simplest ways that they can show allyship?
I tell people my relationship with the word ally and allyship is very different. It's very blunt. I believe that the way people have taken allyship and turned it into a title instead of an actual action has taken away from me. I tell people, don't worry about being an ally, be a decent human. That's how you can actually help our community. Treat us as human beings, not objects, not subjects for study, not your late night, I want to attack type person or anything like that. Learn about us as a person first. And then you can go into, okay, well, how did you get into, knowing that you were a trans person or understanding that you didn't identify with your sex at birth or whatever that may be for that person under the umbrella? Because trans is more than just trans men and trans women. It's an umbrella terminology. So I ask people, get to know a person. Ask them, who are you? What's your name? What do you like to do? Treat me like a human.
Right. Don't shift how you moving with me.
Just because I tell you I'm trans, it does not mean you need to go into how long were you transitioning? How many surgeries do you have?
It's like an interrogation.
It's like a whole interrogation. I'm like, okay, hold on.
Yes. And some people don't realize interrogation tends to make people uncomfortable. If you look at an interrogation, my Law and Order people, folks like that, who like to watch. You can't tell me I ain't graduate from certain universities from the matter. How much time I've been watching. Right. So it's funny because you watch interrogation rooms and they intentionally make them uncomfortable spaces. They want to get information out of. So if you put a person under the feeling of that interrogation, it naturally flares up the defenses versus the lax environment. Like you said, just talk to me, have a conversation with me, ask me where you're going. It's a regular, it creates a less tense, calmer space. So I 1,000% agree with that. And I asked you how you were feeling, but I also want to kind of ask a little bit another question, right? And that is, how are you healing, right? How are you healing from what you are feeling, right?
You would ask me that.
Because I have found personally a need to dial into healing practices more now than ever because of the sensitivity of me taking on people's feelings and having to have clear ways to separate theirs from mine. So I know that you are experiencing that too. As a person who's influencer, that means that there are other people who may be approaching transitioning and are still trying to understand themselves that look to you as a source. So that means you pour in, and, right, responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always say to people, responsibility is simply your ability to respond, right? But they don't understand the pressure that it is to process your own emotions while taking on others. So I just want to ask you, how are you restoring your spirit? How are you healing right now?
Oh man, yeah. I noticed with me, I kind of felt if anybody out there understands spirituality, energy, me personally, I'm a certified life coach, spiritual life coach. Did the studying to get there.
Put some respect on it.
Right, put some respect on my name on that board of therapy, baby. But no, for me personally, I tell people all the time, healers need healers too.
Yes.
So I don't only lean upon my own understanding of how to go through this healing process. I've reached out to mentors. I reached out to people who've been in, these situations before me, elders, things like that of the community. And for me, I've actually also limited my social media footprint. And that's for my mental health.
That's actually, see, a lot of people out here chasing the numbers, and you are like, you know what?
No. Because as you know, I told you, like you brought up to everybody, my biggest platform was TikTok.
Right.
I left it. And I said, I have run the course of what I need to do on that platform. It's time to move forward. So I've limited to Threads and Instagram and YouTube as a platform. And I just go through those. I post what I need to post. Sometimes I schedule posts. I don't go look at them no more. I'll come back and check occasionally, respond to a few things. But the way that I used to go at it, like every single day, going at it.
I know the feeling.
It takes a toll on you mentally. And the other thing, I just learned how to do boundaries a lot more. I actually go out and touch nature. I have a schedule. I don't wake up immediately, get on my phone. I meditate before I get up. I pray before I get up. I stretch. I work out. I do my morning routine of getting my coffee, my tea. Those things matter. Yeah. Doing those little small self-care things for yourself builds your self-esteem, builds your self-confidence. Make sure you keep your self-worth in check. And when you can get back in there and get in the field, okay, you ready. To get out there.
Yes.
But I tell people, this is my biggest metaphor. I can't keep pouring my water into you, overflowing you, and I have nothing being poured back into me. I cannot keep doing that. I have to have reciprocation in some kind of form. Not everybody's able to do that for me, but I can find it in other spaces and places outside of where I work, which is social media.
Right.
So
it's so funny. People say the glass half empty versus the glass half full, and I always say it depends on whether you're pouring or sipping.
Hello.
The person who's always filling the cup is always going to see it half full.
That's how I'm always.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Who's drinking from it? Because as soon as you drink it, somebody is filling it up. But the person who's pouring, who's something that's not, they're never getting the drink from the cup, is seeing it in a completely different way. So perspective matters. Right. And you said something. You talked about rituals, routines that you are practicing when you get up each day, the things that you do to help your mind. And I did. When I thought about that, my body care routines are a huge part of that. Yeah. And I know that when you came on board, one of the first things you got your hands in was some stuff like that. And I do want to take a moment, because when we have these conversations, I always say that people want to feel seen. Yeah. One thing that we prioritize here is visibility. If you, like you said, and that was such a great point when you said people are focusing on a word as a title, but not an action. Don't tell us that you see us, show us, right?
Action speaks louder than words.
So, one of the things that I always loved about BK that made me fall in love with it deeper was showing. And you guys see all this stuff out. And I won't talk about every single item, right? But we made sure that we put this harness out, Matchmaker. Matchmaker is a little padded. It's got a little fancier design on the booty end or whatever the case is, because it was designed for use in mind of a lesbian couple. And at the point when this is designed, I'll tell you, there was less conversation openly about these types of things. But what we realized later, right? And it's don't get me wrong, it's soft, it's comfortable. I definitely didn't worry. Yeah, very padded. You put a little bullet in there. So if you do have, if you do have female genitalia, you can get you some. And I love the fact that it had those interchangeable rings to accommodate different sizes attached to it and a lot of adjustment ways, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not tiny, so I need to know that this bad boy can be for a small person or me.
Right.
But what happened was later on, we started to realize that this design was feminine.
Very.
Right? And we don't sit around and say, oh, we should do something about that. It was part of the reason why hot pants came, right? Well, it is the 100% reason, actually, right? We wanted to have an option that could feel more like a male brief or something like that.
Very
because,
more masculine.
right,
Yes.
because we realized that every person wearing one might not actually be someone who identifies as a woman.
Right.
And it's just those type of aha moments that sometimes you don't realize. Not everybody's doing it on purpose. But that's where we said hot pants, but we also still built in the pocket for a vibrator.
Cooler,
because if you want to feel pleasure there, we want you to have an option. Right. But one of the other ones that I came out with, that I'm super proud of, is this collection. Right. You can look at it here, right?
I've got that.
This is our Pride collection. And the reason why I say this, I know it might sound crazy when I'm about to talk lipstick, right? But why you have a partner?
Very much so.
Right.
Happily married.
Yes. So I always tell people, because there are spaces that it might not be safe for people to have more obvious ways of wearing their pride. What I love about this is that these are all colors of the rainbow. And as you can see, the lipstick tubing features the newer version, right, of the LGBTQ flag that adds the trans community and also the Black, Indigenous, people of color groups added with that you see in browns and in blacks. That's what those things were incorporated. The words love is love. The words be yourself. The words proud of you. Very intentional. We got the non-binary flag here because, like you said, there is a spectrum. And then a trans flag here as well. And we named these colors very intentionally, right? So our red is called Can't Think Straight. I get that, right? The alliance is the orange kind of color of the rainbow, which shows alliance, unifying all. Sunshines and Rainbows has Be Yourself on it. Just really a cheerful, be you. Like I said, the non-binary is called green with N by. Not MB, and bi, right? Which is basically saying, you're non-binary. So proud of you is called girl bi, spell I, B-I. And then our last one is be beautiful, as in you, as in who you feel you are. And so I show this because I feel like if you have a person or a partner or someone who wants to be able to show solidarity, just this is a subtle way of wearing your solidarity in public in a way that's not obvious to someone else, but you know
it between yourself.
You know with yourself it is. And if you are in certain spaces and you pull this tube out, it's naturally, immediately a show of solidarity, right? So they come individually, but the collection, I actually did my lips one time with every color of the rainbow because I'm crazy. That's some Pisces shit. Like, that's some Pisces crap. But and then the last thing I want to say is like we came across realizing more things. Like we had Just Between Us, which is a dual end. We didn't want all of the products to have necessarily the shape. Right? That had a phallic shape. Some people don't like that. Some people do. This is actually a wearable strap-on, right? For a person who is comfortable with internal, this would go inside and hook onto the G-spot, while this portion would stimulate the external, right? Clitoral point on the female genitalia. And then obviously this extension is penetrating, right? So there's that. And then it has a detachable bullet. So you can have vibration or not. Because some people use it, but they don't want to feel the sensation in certain parts. So both people will feel it. What I love about this bullet is it can go into any of the other ones too. So we had these kind of products, but I still felt like this was a lesbian oriented product because a lot of trans men don't want none up in them, right? you know.
And you'll be shot at some do.
Some do. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But it's an option though. And it still looks very masculine still. But it gives them that option of say, hey,
I'm so happy
you want to go all the way into it?
Like,
but you know me, I'm very sexually expressive. I'm very enthusiastic about any way a person wants pleasure. Like to me, when, although I am very, very, very masculine presenting, I am very in touch with my feminine side. Okay, I want to be pleased.
Right.
So whatever happens between me and my partners or whoever I'm deciding to do something with, that's between us.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it don't matter to me.
The funny thing is the product is called Just Between Us.
Exactly. Hello. See, that's that Pisces thing. That's how we be doing it, man. Telekinesis right there. Telepathically.
So no, but you're so funny because, and the last thing that I wanted to mention, this product right here, y'all see the flag? Again, intentionally there, because we want a person who is within this community to automatically see this product and know this is for you.
Yep.
Even though anyone can use it. Well, we actually have this same product in another bottle called On the Daily. So the same formula, but we branded one
Just
to make
for
sure,
sure.
yes, because it was actually designed for a trans male.
Yes.
Right?
That's what I was just going to tell people.
Yeah. So can you tell them really quick why a trans male might need a lube specially designed for them?
Well, everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood gentleman trans man here. All right. No, but for real, a lot of people don't know that when trans men undergo hormone therapy, we can experience dryness. That is a thing for some of us that do like penetration, for some of us that just want to pleasure ourselves with clitoral stimulation. It can be a little hasty down there. It can start a fire if you don't lube up a little bit. You know,
Start
a little fire down there. Be a little uncomfortable. But this actual lube, this formula right here, when I read on it and when, you know, Kasha gave it to me as a gift, and I was just like, this is dope. I was like, nobody ever thought about that for us. And so I really love this because it was thought out properly with us in mind. There's not a lot of products out there in the market that specifically do something for us when it comes to pleasure. And this opens up the eyes of people around us, as well as actual trans men in the community, that, hey, it's okay to please yourself, y'all. Like, there shouldn't be a stigma around what you do with your autonomy and your body with your partners. Like, it should always be free to express, because you had said something earlier at one time about a lot of people don't know, if you have mental blocks, you can't actually reach orgasm. You can't actually reach true pleasure. And that's what I focus on as being a part of the BDSM and kink community, is pleasure. So I make sure that I know how to pleasure them out, not only for my partner, but for myself too. Yeah. You know, so it's very, very, very important. But I love this stuff, y'all. If y'all really, really want to get a lube that is good for your body, it's vegan based as well. So you're not going to get the toxic chemicals inside of yourself or anything like that cause bad reactions. Get yourself some tea lube.
Yes. And you know, the tea lube, one thing that y'all got to know is, because like you said, hormone replacement therapy is directly replacing estrogen a little bit with testosterone, which is what lends to the reason why the dryness happens. I'm sharing this because there are women who were born women who also experience different types of dryness and imbalances and don't understand and have to get hormone replacement therapy. Is not just for the trans community, right? Can we just say that?
Let's speak on that.
Because as a woman, I can be estrogen deficient. As a male, they can be testosterone deficient. Testosterone generates the most during the sleep. If you're not sleeping well as a man, you might see a reduced testosterone. If you're feeling insecure, you're starting to feel a little bit more sensitive, that means that your estrogen levels are up and your testosterone levels are low. You may require this therapy, and it can impact your genital organs. Okay, so this right here has aloe infused into it, right? And that's because that's a coolant, but also the aloe is actually going to add moisture that lasts beyond it. So you can use it every day as a natural moisturizer or a vulva moisturizer for the area, to just help it be a little bit more of a comfortable environment, because it's uncomfortable in your clothes, all those kind of things too sometimes.
Man, it's a lot.
Yeah.
When you first start out, like that friction, and then like a lot of people don't know we have growth down there. Right. So like it frictions, it rides against the briefs or whatever you like to wear personally. So like this actually helps on a daily basis. Like I said, it's more than just about pleasure, y'all.
And I know you had your favorite product out. Oh, and I wanted to. So this one is one, because we also have another one called Them.
Yes, which I left at the hotel.
It's awesome. Them is a non-binary one, basically in that the fragrance is unisex. But Proud of You. Okay, tell me why that's your favorite though.
The Proud of You. The first time I put this on, and I went out in public, and I had went to a store, and I walked past a woman, and I was going to get something. I walked past her. She turned around. She said, "What do you have on?" I just had this on because I usually combine.
Put your other things
yeah,
on.
I combine
right.
stuff. I think I had a little bit of the arrows too. The,
Oh yeah,
the
y'all
Bedroom Kandi
can't
for
go with
men
that for
as
men.
well.
Can't go with that for men.
You know, but I had this on. I usually put it right here on my throat. That way, that how you
that nape of the neck, right? On the pulse
it puts
points.
out the pheromones. And I told her, I was like, "Oh, it's from Bedroom Kandi by Kandi Birch." She's like, "She has stuff." I was like, "Yeah." I was like,
surprising how many people don't know.
Right. And they were like, "Oh, and what kind is it for?" I was like, "Well, this is part of their LGBTQ plus line, and they actually have a few other fragrance bombs that they have on." She was like, "Oh, I need to find out about this." I told her about it and everything. I was like, "I hope you get it. If you do, you do. You don't, you don't." But this smells so good, y'all. Like,
yes,
if you want to get something,
and it's moisturizing. It's got shea butter and all that stuff.
yeah. If you want to get a little, little kissy kiss on.
Not you being being a wingman through the screen.
You know what I'll be doing, man.
Yes.
I'm trying to put y'all on game right now.
Yes.
But no, this is really, really good. It's mild. It's not really strong. But I love the fact that it has the pheromone.
Okay.
The pheromone thing is what gets it for me.
Yeah.
It's like a rabid dog going after you after they smell you first time.
I always tell people that's your love potion. That's your own personal love potion, number 9. So I know that you have tons of stuff from us and whatnot, but I did want to give you something. I have it sitting here.
Oh boy,
a little gift bag. It's not. Look, I'm actually being kind because I really feel like right now the priority is care, and I know that I was having a conversation with one of our other male guests who came on, and I asked him, as a man, how do you care for yourself? Right. And he says that his grooming is a huge part of his that upkeep that makes him feel like he wants to feel each day. Yeah, when you step out, So this is our Bedroom Kandi for Men grooming kit. I want you to open it up real quick. Okay. See what's inside. And this is a great giftable. This can be good for your brother, your father, your man, anybody, uncles, cousins, whatever. But it comes with a bag that you can use for travel, little travel bag.
Nice.
And you'll get in there a couple of different little.
Okay.
Got your grooming scissors.
You can trim up my beard when it comes in.
Right.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming.
See that? It's
2025, we loaded.
I got this though. Don't worry about that for it.
It looks good.
Okay, yes, I did need another pocket brush, so this is gonna
pocket brush.
I just got the wave, so we gotta keep them clean.
Yes, and just know that we don't no animal product in the bristles for people who that's important to.
Yes. Cool. It's some good stuff.
So you can tuck that. You're proud of you can fit in there. Yeah. And when that beard come in, I'm gonna add a beard oil. Right. Yeah. To that, I got you.
Add it now. Help
okay. You know what? Say less.
It might.
Say less.
Situation. I'm just gonna put I would like to add though too. For us trans men that travel and have to take our HRT, this is actually a good case to keep
it in there.
You can keep our vials in there, keep our syringes in there, and things like that for our shots. And so while we travel,
dual use.
Boom.
dual use.
Trans men.
Well, you know why I wanna thank you for your openness.
Of course.
This conversation I had to do a little bit of emotional preparing for, and I knew once it started, we would get going with it. And I didn't want it to be a sad discussion, but also some things just... They have to be said.
Conversations have to be sad.
So I want to know, I know that you are not, kind of bringing up the social imprint too much, but I'm sure people watching is connected with you. Oh. I already know. Okay, I know.
She just be knowing.
Yeah, I'll be knowing. So I want you to please tell folks if they do want to tune into your journey and where you are within it and support you. Waya is also an influencer, so you can also reach out to Waya and make sure Waya get some credit. If Waya sold anything to you today, I want you to buy it from Waya. But tell them where they can find you and what you have going on, anything that you feel is relevant to talk about.
Okay, bet. So as far as social media, you guys can find me on Instagram. I am known as It's Just Waya Official on Instagram, and spell Waya is WAYA. Okay. And also on Threads, it should be the same thing. It'll be connected to my Instagram. And on YouTube, It's just Waya, no official on there. As far as things that I have coming up, I am an influencer, but my main brand is being an actor and a model. Yes. So I actually have some films coming up. One I'm actually currently working on called Transition to Love. I won't get too deep into it, but I actually wrote this. I'm actually also co-directing it and producing it. So, just putting myself in spaces that I tell people if they won't bring me to the table, I'll make it myself.
Yes.
So that is what to look for from me, guys. And you might see me on a few things. I've also been on TV already, so check me out.
Why is being modest?
I'm being very modest.
Very modest.
That's my brand.
The thing about us as Pisces is we're not really braggy ourselves, but we will brag the hell out for someone else, right? Yeah. So I will brag for Waya. Okay, this person is so diverse in range, so I want you guys to for sure tune in. And I also want to invite you to join the movement at Bedroom Kandi. If you find yourself in a space right now where you are looking for community, where you're looking for safe space, people like us, we invite you to join us at Bedroom Kandi. Right now, you can actually join our community for free. Okay, we're so excited. We are here in Arizona.
Yes.
At the Melanated Sex Expo, an event curated by two of our BK family members. Shout out to Kiki and Nisha.
Hey.
We about to have a dope weekend. We're about to have some dope spaces. And so make sure you guys check out the Melanated Sex Expo. Things to come. Our founder, Candy Burris, is in town with us. So we are about to have a family reunion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? But I want to thank you for tuning into this very important conversation at the Bedroom Kandi Business of Pleasure. I am your host, Cash, your sexologist bestie. And until next time, mwah.
Peace.